Say hi, guys. We're having some dim sum. Hi, Cultural Diversity. I'm Beanie.
I'm Pam.
I'm Adriana.
I'm Val.
Introduce yourself. What is your name? And give us a little background of you, please.
Hi, I'm Sally Ho, and my background is basically I was born in Vietnam, came here to the U.S. When I was 3. The whole family came along with pretty much all of us went. And just growing up, we basically were really trying to follow a lot of traditions and a lot of cultures. Everything that we learned, everything that my parents have learned in Vietnam, we basically have brought it with us into the U.S. You know, some examples are we're very big on Chinese New Year. We eat veggie for a whole week and sometimes even for a whole month. Just because we believe in Buddha, we're very religious. We have some of the cultures and some of the beliefs such as, walking into the house, you have to take your shoes off. We have to, we eat certain kind of food, so we're very carb oriented, so we're really about rice, and we have to finish the rice as well. Even if you're full, you have to eat the rice. Because our belief is that the rice is what Buddha usually feeds the people. So, throwing the rice away is not a good, it's more disrespectful.
So that's why you guys eat a lot of rice.
So we eat rice, we eat fish, because our belief is that fish makes you smarter. So, you have to eat fish at least once a week. Exactly, and chicken, but despite everything, even if we don't have any meat, we have to eat rice at least once or twice a day, and rice with soy sauce, and that's pretty much could be our meal if there's.
And the green tea, right, for the oil to help your.
Yep.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, we're very big on tea as well, so we would drink tea, even if it's caffeinated, we would drink tea morning, afternoon, and even in the evening. And our belief is that because a lot of food are very oily, the tea actually helps us digest a lot of our food.
What is the purpose behind the shoes? They're removing the shoes.
So the whole purpose is it's paying the respect. So if you're coming into someone's house, you're paying the respect because you don't want to, dirty the house. You don't want to, because the house, with an Asian culture, our belief is we have to have the house clean, regardless of if it's an event, if it's an occasion, if it's every day, we still have to make it clean. So you just have to take your shoes off. Even if you're it's interesting because if I'm in my car and have my shoes on, if I forget one item, I can't just run into the house with my shoes on. I literally have to take everything off, my shoes off, just to pick up one of the items I'm missing and go back to the outside. So it's, and we have a separate shoes. So we have the home slippers, and then we also have outside slippers. So you can't mix and match. And then if you're going into the house, you're really taking your outside shoes off, and then you're putting on the inside shoes, and then you can walk around the house.
Interesting.
So in a dental office, do you take your shoes off when you're in the chair, or that's something that doesn't really matter in that sense to where you're going to get comfortable? Because I've seen some other patients, some other Asian cultures, like they will take their shoes off by the chair and then they get in to get comfortable. So, I mean, is that an issue, or does it matter?
I've seen that in the older generation. So they do take shoes or slippers off, and a lot of times they like to have a slip-on shoes or even slippers. So that way it's easier for them to just remove it. And I have seen older ones, but not the younger generation.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I noticed that it was the older ones too as well. So, what are some characteristics that your culture, such as like views, lifestyles, behaviors even, that you guys have in common?
So our 3 sort of like the main core that we truly believe in and we teach our younger generation is really family, and respect and honor. And so it's pretty, a lot of times when kids or even at an adult age, whatever they're doing, their action, they're very concerned about what the older generation would think. So it's sort of example. They're really making sure that the elderly are approving the decisions that you're making. So
Okay.
even, in terms of dentists, a lot of times the Asian culture, they don't go on Yelp, they don't do the word of mouth. It's more of family members telling other family members that, hey, you should go to this dentist. So whether or not this dentist is a good one,
Interesting.
they usually go, just because it's
recommended by a family member.
Yep.
Interesting.
Factors that influence how you seek like your help, your dental help and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And
Yeah.
you said that pretty much is how you're gonna find your dental.
And not only that, I think that a lot of the Asian culture, they like to go to the dentist that speaks the same language as them.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, or even oftentimes, it's harder to understand.
Yes.
Dentists speaking English and not
Yeah.
having the same, they don't speak the same language. So
Uh-huh.
it's harder to understand. They don't know what's happening. If you tell them that, hey, you have a cavity or you need some implant, they don't understand that. So they
Yeah.
think that they're ripping us off. They're not explaining it really well, or they're just not really understanding how. The dentists aren't understanding how to explain it in the right way.
Yeah.
So they tend to go to a dentist that speaks the same language, supposedly coming from like the same neighborhood in Vietnam. So this like we live in a culture where we know that the dentists or even doctors used to they used to live in Vietnam, the same area with them. They tend to go to that particular
Okay.
one versus to somebody completely
Just
new.
new.
And generally, do you guys go to the dentist every 6 months, or do you guys go like when you have a toothache or when something's bothering you? Or are you more like routinely every 6 months?
We go every 6 months.
So
We
you do
are,
go.
yeah, we are very big on our teeth. So we brush our teeth
Yay.
morning, even afternoon, and even in the evening. So like a lot of if you work in a corporate office, you see a lot of Asian women actually go to the bathroom and brush the teeth after
Nice.
lunch. They don't floss, and I don't know if it's our culture. We don't actually use actual floss, but we use a toothpick.
Uh-huh.
But we brush our teeth, at least 3 times a day.
There's any recommendations that you have if we do have an Asian patient seek service with us and we're not able to communicate in their language, how would you recommend we go about it and how to treat them in the chair respectfully? Like, is there any mannerisms we should stay away from? Eye-to-eye contact? Is there anything that we should
Touching
be?
it.
Yeah, as far as our closeness to the patient, is there anything that we should be cautious of? Not to disrespect their space or what they believe in?
boundaries.
Mhm.
I think in terms of going to see a dentist, it's really if you feel that you're younger than them, always bow, because they are very they
Oh.
feel that it's disrespectful if we're not bowing to them.
So if it's an elder person.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, and then learn how to say like uncle in whatever language, because they
Okay.
tend to like that because they feel like they're very. So a lot in our tradition, we always call the older men uncle and the older woman aunt. In that language, just because they feel more respectful and they feel like you guys, like we're sort of like on the same page. We're respecting them. We know that they're older. We're trying to do as much as we can for them. The one thing is that because we're so big on brushing our teeth and whatnot, if there is any issues like cavity and whatnot, I would recommend that you should kind of do it in a nice way, not saying, hey, you're not really brushing your teeth. This is why you're having cavity, or you're eating so much sweets, because we tend to be very careful and we brush our teeth every day, we floss or we use a toothpick or whatnot. So I think when we find out or we know that there's an issue with our teeth, we take it very personal.